Good evening, Mr. Basil. How are we doing?
Good evening, Alex. Very well, very well. We've got a good film today, which I believe we both
a joy of a film, one of them.
Joyous film. And we both saw this at the cinema, but on separate occasions. And you recommended it to me, and you said it's worth going to. And I found myself in Lincoln the other day, and I thought I'll go and watch it. Then why not? So the film we're referring to is Belfast, and the clue in which it's about the situation in Northern Ireland in I think I want to say late 70s, early 80s with the
80s,
IRA and the religious divide of Catholics and my memory escapes me, Protestants. So the Protestants being I think the native Irish mostly, and the Catholics being I think you describe it as like half English, half Irish residents, obviously they refer to themselves more as like Northern Irish, and I think there's more of an Irish background for the Protestants. So you hear bits and pieces about the IRA back in the day and how they operated, and they were a terrorist group, and what they stood for. But the film has a great, beautiful way of showing the conflict through the eyes of just normal residents on a normal street in Northern Ireland, and in particular through the eyes of a very young boy. I think he must be about 8 or something, which I guessed
younger, but still
probably 6 or 8, something like that, which I probably guessed was the director, and I think you actually backed that up, didn't you? It's so I know the little boy's got his mum and dad. I think he's got a sister as well, bigger sister, and then more importantly he's got a grandma and a granddad. But what did we think, Alex?
Fantastic. I mean, not that we're big fans of Oscar-nominated films, but generally that's a good sign. So this is the second most nominated this year, and it's directed by Kenneth Branagh, which is a really good, both a director, I think is a Sir too, so maybe we should address it like that. So Sir Kenneth Branagh.
Is that the granddad, isn't it?
No, he's the director, I mean.
Oh, sorry, the director. Okay,
yeah. And he's both, and he's an actor himself in plenty. We've seen him in. And then he's got Jamie Dornan in as the father of the child. He's got Caitriona Balfe, which is the actress from Outlander, which is really good series out there. Really good. I mean, it's black and white in film, and it looks beautiful in black and white. It ticks all the boxes because it shows you the conflict, but it just follows this child. It doesn't do anything else besides dealing with the day-to-day issues that this child has, put in an atmosphere that is literally ready to turn into a civil war, basically.
Yeah, it's very boiling point all the time, isn't it? When
exactly.
It's spill over.
So is that always consistently? It's like a powder keg ready to go. That's what it feels like consistently, and it makes it even more worse. I felt more tension when you have this super cool kid in the middle of it that has his own problems, like impressing girls at school and all of that stuff that he's and then around him there's issues with the conflict that you said, the way they live behind barricades, potentially bomb threats, police interfering or being corrupt, and all sorts of that stuff, and it's all around this family, and it's really good. That's what just struck me, how realistic it is, but at the same time human.
Yeah. Well said. I think we were both impressed right from the get-go. I think more and more when I watch films now, it's when you're impressed within the first 10 minutes, that's very important, especially because everyone's got such a short attention span. But there's a fantastic set piece at the beginning where the child is literally playing with a football in the street, and then it all goes like a slow hum of a sound, and you just see this revolving shot around the child's head because there's this huge riot that just comes out of nowhere in the middle of the street, and it's like this really deafening hum of just instability in the child's life, and it's great seeing it from a child's view as well. And I think the rotation of the child's head it happens about 3 or 4 times, 4 rotations, while this huge mob is just coming towards him, and it's really frightening. And I think the violence in the film was used perfectly as well, because although no one's ever killed in the film or anything of that nature, it's really scary when something happens, isn't it? And they get it bang on,
That's credit to the way it's filmed, because it's hard to manage to make it look so real and raw and to its core, because I mean it's black and white and you're thinking, oh, that'll be too obvious, but it's actually not. And I think I told you this before, it reminded me of Citizen Kane, which is a black and white, I don't know if you've seen it, classic film. But the way that I think Hitchcock or Kubrick, one of them, filmed it at the time, was that you, in one frame, if you had three people, one close to the camera, one in the middle doing something at the table, and another one outside the house, you could see all of those clearly in one frame without zooming in. And this does the same, and he just paints it so beautifully, because in one shot you can see the child playing in the front closest to the camera within his own little world, that not caring about anything that's going on outside his world. Then the grandmother, which is played by Judi Dench, in the background in the kitchen, sitting at the kitchen table, doing nothing besides contemplating the moment, thinking about what's going on in the world. And those two contrasts, the careless child versus the world on her shoulders, worrying grandma, it's just beautifully put in one shot, and you don't have to go anywhere else. You don't have to zoom in. Or
we both pointed out the use of I guess facial expression in the film. It's like there's a lot of scenes where it is just the whole screen is taken up by someone's face and the expressions that they're using when they're having a conversation, and it really makes it. I don't know, you don't notice it in other films as much as they're trying to push it in this one, and it really gives you a feel of how the characters are coping with the situation. And as you say, there's a few shots where I think everything you hear and see in the film, I would like to say the little boy hears and sees as well, because if you actually look at the film, there's not a lot of scenes without him in it. You know, I think that's a great little touch, to be honest, because again, it gives you real perspective of his viewpoint. You know.
Fair enough. And actually, you see, there's a lot of close-ups. Yes, it does. That involves a lot of relying on the actors performing really well, which is the case in here. Without
acting with your eyes.
Acting with your eyes, acting with their faces, and also, like you said, when you follow the child, and you know there's violence happening around him, but you stay with him, that makes it more personal. You care for that character, and you see it on his face by what he sees, that, oh my God, this stuff is going on around him that is violent or unusual or disrupting to his life or traumatizing even at some point, especially when they get in the bus and all that stuff. It's like what's going on through that child's head just from looking at him.
Yeah, and just as a side note as well, I think this is just me personally, because I think you said that you didn't, but any film that can make me cry, and especially twice with this film. The last film to do this was Nomadland for me, and definite box ticker that for me. That's on the list for me, because it's hard to achieve, but yeah, this film made me cry twice, and then both of the occasion it was the interaction between the little boy and the granddad, and I won't go into detail, just watch it for yourself, but it's fantastic.
The actor is nominated for an Oscar. That's really
it's just, I think in the heart of conflict, all of this mentions it. You get such a humble character like the granddad in the film, and it's really charming the way that he interacts with the little boy, and the world around them doesn't exist, and this threat of terrorism doesn't exist, because it's like they've got their own little world, and it's fantastic, man. It's absolutely fantastic.
Think about these two films that made you cry, think about those two. They're both joyous films. So sometimes you don't know. Nomadland it does show the story of this lady that is not going through the best years of her life. Eventually she does, but it's still happy because she finds happiness. This film, yes, there's trauma and drama around the child, but that little family is a happy family, and that's a sign of a good film, because it's when happiness, you cry. If you're not sad, you're actually happy that this child has a good grandparent. Knows how to deal with the situation for a child.
Was it sad scenes? It was exactly. I think it's like moments of beauty in a time of chaos, really, wasn't it? If you put it that way. Yeah.
It's the contrast that makes it so vivid. Beautiful film, man. I mean, one of a kind. It's tough competition, because it's against The Power of the Dog on most nominations this year.
I have to say, I enjoyed Belfast more. I know Power of a Dog, it gets a lot of rave reviews and stuff, and but this one pips it for me.
I think they're really good. They're neck and neck, because they're
fantastic
both picking
films,
up awards.
But for me, I would watch Belfast again personally.
Absolutely, and it's in cinemas. I think it's still in cinemas today is 24th of March, so it's good that it's been going on for so long, to be honest. So that's good. All right, sir. So Belfast, what a film.
Would watch again.
We'll talk to you next week.
Take care. Bye, Alex.
See you later. Bye bye.